Good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm Samantha Studebaker Carl here with my good friends Dan, Julia, Catherine, and Sandy. And today we are actually just going to kind of do a end of book review, and we're going to be talking about What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Hemlstetter. So if you happen to find this video because you're looking for a book review on this will be a good one because we're going to share our experiences, share what we've learned in this book and some of the things that have happened. But before we get going here, I have a few announcements because I don't know where you are in the interweb, but we've finally got our new website up and running, and so we want to have everybody jump over to our website page, and you can get there by going to SaturdayMorningMastermind.com. That will take you directly to the page where we're doing this live broadcast, and I would really appreciate it if you guys would scroll all the way down to the bottom and leave your comments there. We're hoping that they're going to show up instantaneously, and then if there's any issues, I want you to let us know about it because this is kind of a test run of doing the live broadcast from our website. And if there's any issues, I want to know. And if you guys have suggestions on how maybe we should lay the page out or anything like that, I'm open for suggestions because, of course, this website isn't just about me, it's about everyone, and I want it to be the best that it can be and the most helpful and the most useful and all of those kinds of things. So, okay, so first of all, I'm going to have Julia, she's going to lead our discussion today, and I'm going to kind of be paying attention to things in the background, and hopefully everything's going to work right. But if for some reason you can't connect with us while we're doing this live broadcast, you can message me on Facebook. I'll have that open, and let me know if you're having any issues. So with that, everybody go ahead and introduce themselves, and then Julia, you can take it from there.
All right, so hi everyone. Hi Dan, Catherine, Sandy, Dan. Well, as you know, my name is Julia Colon, and I am the proud owner of ClaimYourPersonalPowers.com. And I'm very excited today to be leading this conversation or this discussion on the main part of the book, which is putting everything together and getting everyone's thoughts and opinions and the changes that they've made and what they're going to take away from this book and if they would recommend it to anyone. So I have my own thoughts and ideas, but I just wanted to say this was a great book and I'm looking forward to hearing from everyone. So I'll just let the next person introduce themselves, and it's nice seeing all you guys again.
Okay, I'll jump out. I'm Dan Sissick. Uh, Once again, I'm glad to see all of you, Sandy, Catherine, Julia, Samantha, and Dan. The older, more gray guy. I gotta tease Dan about that. um, uh, yeah, looking forward to the discussion this morning as we go over and cover the book and everything that we've all learned and gathered from it. So I'll let whoever else needs to introduce themselves have a shot now. Thanks.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, everyone. Go ahead, Catherine. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. This is Catherine Clement here in Boulder, Colorado, and looking forward to talking about what we got out of this book. And our new site is so exciting. Thank you so much, Samantha. You've done an amazing job on it. I just think it looks fabulous. I'm blown away. So thank you so much for all your hard work on that. I know it's been frustrating at times because I've done websites too, and I know how that can be. So thank you, and thank you everyone that's come here today to help us finish out this book, and look forward to discussing and hearing what everybody got from it.
try that again. There, I think I'm unmuted. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Smith from Boise, Idaho. Looks like a beautiful, beautiful day shaping up here today, and just really looking forward to closing out this book. It's been a fantastic book. I've really enjoyed reading it, and I hope everybody else has enjoyed it as much as I have. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome for coming today.
You're muted, Sandy. I can't hear you, honey. I see you talking. Oh, I hope you can get that fixed. I really want to hear how. Yeah, there you go. She's going to try to come back. Good.
We can't hear you, Jason.
Technical difficulties. It's all right. We'll get it worked out.
No, can't hear you, Sandy. You might have to reboot. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, Jason is coming back on. Can you hear us, Jason?
I can hear you.
Now we hear you.
Okay, great. All right. Hey, it's great to be here, finishing up this terrific book, and just looking forward to the discussion. I just finished reading the last chapter again, and boy, it really, it was poignant. I had a rough morning this morning. I'm sure a lot of people did with things going on, and but I'm just, I'm so happy to be here. And like Catherine said, I'm really grateful for Samantha for putting up the new page. It really does look terrific, and it's great to be here with you all.
So, I guess Sandy restarted. It's going to restart her computer to join us. There were a lot of things that I got from this book. This is a powerful book for me, and these birds, oh my God. It's unbelievable. Every time I speak, they want to talk over me, and they probably got that from me. They're getting me back, Dan, for what I did last week. I cut you off. But there were a few things that I took from this book, and one of them that I wasn't even aware of was the different levels of self-talk. And you have the I can't, the I should, that I never, I no longer, I am. Yes, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Hemlstetter. You know what? I have it in my tablet, so you really can't see it. But this next book, I actually purchased it. Hi, Sandy, can you hear us?
I've been hearing you guys.
Okay, we hear you now. So just, introduce yourself.
Okay.
I'll put my phone on mute.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Sandy Root here in cloudy, rainy Miami Beach today, but it's good. We need it. Happy to be here and discussing the closing of this book. And yeah, like Catherine said, the site, Samantha, is amazing. What a great job, and excited to see where this is all going forward. It's exciting. So thanks for all your work, and I look forward to the discussion.
Hi, Sandy. It's nice to see you again. And I also liked your hair when you straightened it out on Facebook. That was when you showed it on Facebook. I like it both ways, but but I want to get back to the topic of conversation. So there were 5 different levels that I wasn't even aware of until I read this book, and that's why it's so good to be with a group of like-minded people that just want to help everyone else, because there's so much we can learn from each other. And as I mentioned, I was and still am in the third level, which is I no longer, and I guess it shifts the different levels, where you're at. But that was one of the things that I learned from the book, which was the 5 levels. And also, I learned that it's never too late to learn or to make a change in your life if you really, 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 truly want it. It was, for me, it was just, I wanted it, but how was I going to get there? Who was I going to meet? And I realized that as I pursue my life purpose, I will meet other people, and help will be there for me. And if I didn't put in the action or the effort, I wouldn't be sitting here talking with all of you guys today, and with everyone that's joined us online. So this was a very powerful book for me to teach me that, the choice begins with me, and it begins with my thoughts and with how I feel, and how not to let the environment affect my life and my day, and I have control. So this was a wonderful, very powerful book for me. So I just wonder, what did you guys get from it? What was your experience like, and what will you take away, and would you recommend anyone? Would you recommend this book to anyone?
I'll jump out. For me, in reading this book and getting in, I started on the book a little late because I was busy the first 2 or 3 weeks. I think we were starting it, but in getting in and reading and going over the chapters I've read, one of the questions on our pre-mastermind discussion is, what was the biggest change you made using these techniques? And in that, I'm becoming more aware of when my thoughts are in the negative vein, and how I can, even right instantly in that moment, do a couple little things to help change that thought and keep myself where I want to be. It's still kind of a struggle at times, and I'm being honest in that sometimes I'm so in the moment and so in where I'm at that even though I actually am aware of it, I don't necessarily always take that step. And now my next thing is to really, sometimes I've taken a step and sometimes I haven't, just because of life and everything. I want to really actively take those steps even more and more and more each time, actively each time, to where it almost becomes second nature, I think, because we have so many things that are bombarding us, thrown at us, that it's easy, and I'm realizing that it's easy that I can start off great and be in such a great, go-getter mood, and then stuff will happen, and it just kind of twists me and gets me going in a different mode. And to be aware and hear those negative thoughts in my head and realize, saying, wait, why am I doing that, has been profound for me. And I want to keep moving from that negative into that power of the positive, and keep that going for me. So I think that's been the biggest thing I've gotten overall out of this book, the power in my own brain, and knowing that I've always heard that the brain's one of the most powerful things out there. We only use about 10% of it. Well, I want to use more than 10%. So I think that's what I'm getting out of this book. And I would definitely recommend this to anybody who really wants to make good, strong, active changes and don't know where to start. And this is the first place to start, is with yourself.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump out. I first read this book. It's probably been 17 years ago when I first read this book, picked it up, and I was listening to an old Zig Ziglar tape series, and he was talking about the book, and I bought it at that time. And so I think this is at least the 4th time that I've read this book, but this time going through it with other people and discussing it, bouncing other ideas off of other people, hearing all you guys' ideas, ideas that I've picked up. It's really been an incredible time just going through this book. And one of the questions that early on in this chapter, Mr. Hemlstetter, he asked, if making life work is as simple as making a few changes. Why don't you do it? And that's really a valid question. If you're not happy in life where you're at right now, and a real minor change or even a major change would change that, then why aren't you doing it? And you know, that's really a valid question. And I want to read something here real quick. This is in the introduction of Psycho-Cybernetics, but he says the self-image is the key to human personality and human behavior. Change the self-image and you change the personality and the behavior. But more than this, the self-image sets the boundaries of individual accomplishment. It defines what you are, what you can and cannot do. Expand the self-image and you expand the area of the possible. The development of an adequate, realistic self-image will seem to imbue the individual with new capabilities, new talents, and literally turn failure into success. And so really, you know, the question is, how can you do that? How can you change your self-image? If your self-image alone sets the boundaries of what you're capable of doing and you want to do more, how do you change the self-image? And that's done through everything that this book describes. It's done through the conversation that you have with yourself, what goes on inside of your own mind, and taking control of your thoughts, taking control of your mouth, your tongue, the things that you say, the things that you hear yourself say, and you know, just going through these, as Julia was talking about earlier, the 5 different levels of self-talk, eliminated in the first, you know, 2, 3. I can't remember exactly what they are, but ridding yourself of the first 2, and moving into the 3rd and the 4th level of self-talk. You know, just taking control of your tongue and planning the thoughts that you want to think, doing that over and over and over again until it becomes a habit, until what pops naturally into your mind, instead of the negative default program from before, a positive, and that positive becomes the new default program for you instead of the old negative default pattern. So I'll turn it over to somebody else.
Hey, I'll jump out real quick. That's terrific recap there, Dan, and you know, like what you're talking about, making it a habit. That's kind of what I've gotten out of this book as well. One of the things, I mean, this is the first time I've read it, but it's been a tremendous help for me. It's been giving me, you know, the tools, the language that I need to use in order to make the lasting changes. He talks about it in the back at the end of this book, in this chapter, about how what he also mentioned in the beginning and why he wrote this book is because the other books out there that he saw were you know, only created temporary changes, and so that was one of the reasons he wrote this book, and you know, provided us with these teachings is to help us create a lasting change. And I mean, I've gotten a lot of benefit out of it, and I mean, just recently, one of the things I've changed, and it was interesting. You know, normally these things take a lot of time, a lot of repetition, but for this one particular thing, I had almost an immediate result. You know, I've gotten into the habit of whenever over the years, and whenever an event occurred that where I needed to start communicating with someone, maybe give them a call to start something happening, you know, instead of just hopping on the phone and calling them, I would sit and think through the whole process and think through, well, this needs to be done, that person needs to be called, they'll probably need this, and on and on and on, and then, you know, after a while, I, you know, wouldn't have started the process, and that would cause anxiety, and then cause, you know, further issues, and that was kind of a habit that I had grown into, and the other day I sat down and created a self-talk message for myself and actually recorded it, that whenever an event came up like that caused me any sort of anxiety, where I knew I needed to talk to someone and go ahead and initiate you know, that communication, that I would go ahead and do that. I would go ahead and pick up the phone and call them, and not just because, oh, I would do it, but then I gave myself the reasons, because I know that that would take away the anxiety. It would start the process. I would feel good about it. I'd be, then like he suggests we do, connect that with all the other things and how it would make our life, better, and how it would affect us positively in other ways. And so I made that statement, recorded it, and I listened to it just a couple times. And the very next time I had that situation come up, or a situation like that come up, that popped in my head, and I just took action. And it was kind of amazing to me. Now, I didn't sit and think about how amazing it was at the time, because I just took action, gave the person a call, and initiated that contact. Now, of course, I called them, and there was no answer. Had to leave a message and all that, but it just felt so good to go ahead and be able to take that action, because I basically changed my beliefs. I changed my feeling. No, I bypassed the negative programming and changed my beliefs by giving myself new language, new self-talk to act on, if that makes any sense. So yes, this has had a terrific impact on me, and I will definitely be recommending this to other people. So
Awesome. Good for you, Jason. That's awesome. I was writing a bunch of stuff down here. Things are just coming to my mind. When you were talking, you ended with by saying, I start with yourself, and then Dan also, Smith, said the same thing. And I've been very aware of that through reading through this book, and as I'm looking over the book in my life during the time of reading this book, I was seeing these challenges I was going through. It's like your life is going along good, and like something can just come out of nowhere, or something can happen that triggers, and then it throws you off. But I thought I was doing so good, and I thought I was so advanced, and then you're back down on the bottom, okay. And so I think as we're peeling these layers of ourselves and getting deeper and deeper into ourselves, new challenges come up to be okay, you're ready to face this one now, and it's okay, here we go, another one. And so this book has really helped me I'm just looking at my notes that I wrote down, to deal with those things, and looking at the things too that sometimes keep appearing in our lives. Why does this situation keep appearing, or this person that's the same as this person in my past appearing again? What have I not learned from this? And so taking that and really through this book and other things I've been reading has really helped me a lot. Asking questions. If I'm stuck on how to write the self-talk, I like to ask questions how am I behaving in this situation? How am I being? How am I reacting? And saying, okay, well, I don't like that part of what I'm doing, so how can I, do I want to be? What kind of outcome do I want? And when I ask myself those questions, I can see clearer what I want to be and what I want to get out of that situation. And then that helps me to be able to write what the better self-talk than getting stuck in the sad or the anger at whatever the situation is, or whatever somebody is doing to me. That's my reaction. So asking questions has really helped me, internally, and really looking at myself in these situations. And so that's come up for me through reading this book. So that's it for now. I don't know if that made sense.
That made perfect sense. At least to me, but I'm a blue, so we make sense to each other. This was a great book. I don't know, all the books that we've worked through are great, and we just constantly need these reminders that we can change things. We're still human beings, we're still living in life. Stuff still happens, like you said, Sandy, it just comes up and whacks you. Sometimes it's, you do this kind of work for a long time, and it seems like it's getting easier and easier, and you feel like you're making progress. And then all of a sudden, you get blindsided, and and then you sort of get down on yourself and say, well, gosh, I thought I was further along than that. So I want to just give everybody the reminder, yes, you can change anything about your life that you want to do. This book, obviously it's in the self-help category, but it could be put into any category. Like, it could help anybody with any situation. If you're having relationship problems, if you're having performance issues at work, or you're just not satisfied with your work and you need a way to figure that out, or if you're having family problems, if you're having financial issues, if you're having um, gosh, anything, addictions. This book would be wonderful for people with addictions, because, and we all have addictions, by the way. Some people it's heroin, some people it's sugar. So we all have our addictions. But the point is, it doesn't matter what's going on in your life, you can change it. But my reminder is, as always, the reason that these things come up are because there are things within us that need to be healed. And so, yes, I'm all about, reprogramming and self-help, but I'm also about accepting and really loving the part of yourself um, that that is having those emotions, that makes those things come up in the first place. Like you said, you have to, when people are sort of mirroring things for you, the same person shows up in a different body over and over in your life, or the same issue comes up, or even if you find yourself speaking repeatedly about the same thing, that's like a reminder to you, like right now I'm reminding myself, in those moments where I'm being self-judgmental, I need to ease up, and I need to just really love the part of me that is frustrated, or whatever it is that I'm going through in that moment, feeling abandoned, or whatever like trigger that's coming up. I just really need to remember to love myself in that moment, love that part of me that's feeling that way, and not judge it as something that's bad and I have to change you. There's a difference between um, judging yourself and just deciding that maybe you'd like to do things a little better. So you can even change your self-talk about your self-talk. And this book is, it's got lots of really practical word for word examples that, you don't have to say it exactly like it says it in the book, but it at least gives you enough to where you can find something in your life and kind of, make up your own. But there's plenty of examples in there to get you started. And I love the way that, I think the reason, who said that I think Jason, you said that normally it didn't work so quickly. I think one of the reasons that this book helps it work more quickly is because it teaches you how to address it from different angles. The same situation that you're trying to change, it teaches you to address the self-talk coming in from all different angles. And I think that's one of the reasons that it makes it work quicker.
Catherine, I agree with you completely. That idea of addressing it from different angles has been super powerful for me, and also with this tool of this new language or new way of taking control of our thoughts. It has it's empowering. It's well, I kind of lost a thought there, but it's empowering, and it really allows you to drill down, like what I think what Sandy was saying, asking questions. Well, why is this important to me? Why am I hanging on to this feeling or this event that happened in my life? And it allows us to do that in a way with the tools to go in and fix it, to go in and address it, rather than just thinking about it and being more upset about it. It actually allows us to go in and do something about it and ask those questions, and then turn those questions around and talk to ourselves and make sense to ourselves as to why it's better that we think of it this way, or it's better that we we have this reaction to it, and then attack it from all those different angles. I mean, it's been very powerful for me. So yeah, I totally agree.
Well, I pretty much got a lot of notes from everyone on here. Sandy, I love your discussion when you mentioned the deeper we get into ourselves, challenges come. And that took me back to when a couple of weeks ago when we talk about challenges and how we see them as problems and how do we deal with them. And for me, it took me back to that part of the discussion where now, as I am getting more into myself and understanding how I work, not how someone else wants me to work, I find myself becoming a stronger individual in which I can say, no, this is not good for me. But I never thought of the question that you said, what kind of outcome do I want? And I never realized that I can get that too. I can get the outcome that I want. So I learned that. I'm going to use that when I have another challenge that's not a problem, but I can, and it doesn't become a problem because I can get the outcome that I want. So I hope that made sense. So I learned that, and because I realized that, yes, you're right. As we go deeper into ourselves and understanding ourselves, it's like, it just comes out of nowhere. Like, oh, here I go again. You know, I got to deal with this again. You know, it's something always coming up. So now I deal with them. I don't, in the past, I didn't even bother to even have a self-talk. It was like, I just ignored it like it wasn't even there. But I deal with it, and it's like another challenge comes up, but it's not something negative. It's now I look at it as a growth opportunity to learn more about who I am, how I deal with things, so that society and the world and my friends and my family, my loved ones, could get to know the person that I'm becoming, which I'm very happy with. It brings me a lot of joy to see these changes within myself, and it brings me a lot of joy to see everyone changing as we go along in the discussions that we have, because I've learned so much from everyone, especially with this book. So Sandy, I'm going to use that. What kind of outcome do I want? Because I have control. So thank you. That was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off of what Sandy and Julia just said, because in a couple instances, like I said, I've had things come up and just kind of hit me, and I'm just like, I'm like you guys. I'm like, not again, or, I'm responding in the same old way I usually respond. And a couple times I've actually stood there. I literally stopped and stood there and said, no, this is not what I want. This is not what I'm not going there this time. But I did not go, like you said, Sandy, what do I want out of it? I didn't go that extra step. And in this process of reading this book and going through this book, I think it has so opened my mind now more to realizing that part of some of the dreams and the things I want to achieve, I haven't gotten fully there yet, because I have not opened my mind and myself to some of these other changes that need to take place first in order to get me there. And I'm now hearing myself and say, no, I want to be open more. I want to be more, I want to hear more. I want to see more. I want to, go beyond where I'm just at here and get to here, but I need to open that channel and, use that positive self-talk to help get me there, to open those channels too, so I'm not cutting them off by the negative. And that was a real good point that you pointed out, Sandy. I appreciate that, because that's going to help me too a lot.
So Dan, if you can just look and see if anyone has placed any comments on the stream.
Yeah, we've had actual 2 or 3 comments. BG showed up as always and left a comment. We had one person asking about if that's where we leave comments, and Catherine, thank you for responding back. I actually responded on the page back to them in their little thread. So we're, there's a little bit going on. Plus, all of us have been leaving comments, and I've been seeing if it refreshes or what it does. I just don't know if it truly affects the outcome of where somebody's at when they do that. But yeah, we've actually gotten a few comments. Hopefully, getting more, and I am trying to respond as I see them.
Hey guys, let me jump out here real quick, just to Karen, yeah, I did comment back to you on the page, but yeah, if you could let me know specifically what it is that you wish that you could see, that would be really helpful. And one thing I have noticed, there is a pretty good delay on the blog page versus the live stream, so that's something to note. But if anybody has suggestions, yeah, go ahead and post them on there. I appreciate that. You can't see me? Okay. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Well, either way. All right, go ahead, guys. Thanks.
Okay, so let's see here. I wanted to go back to what Jason was saying, where you recorded yourself, Jason, and because I created a 5-day audio series, and what I did was, and this was a couple of days ago, and it's so strange how you would mention it. So it's just affirmation that what I wanted to do, I need to do because you mentioned it. And I went back to the audio series, and I was listening to it, and it doesn't sound like me anymore because I did it when I first started. I do like it a lot. When I was listening to myself, it did encourage me and empower me, but I realized that I have grown from where I was to where I am today. So I'm going to go back and make a few little tweaks. But what happened in that process? And it all started when I started becoming a part of this Saturday Morning Mastermind. And this is the first book, actually, that I did with both of you, with all you guys, completely. So it's always good to look back to see where you were to where you are today. And I am very proud of myself. And I also learned that through all of this, this is a time for celebration. Every single change that we make through, that we break through, not necessarily the end result. And that's one thing that I learned from this book too, is that every single step is a success. And so I will be celebrating with my family this change, and it might not seem big, but to me it is. And so I have so much more to go through in life. I don't know what tomorrow brings. All I know is that I look forward to what tomorrow brings, and I look forward to this new book with all you guys and just going through it all again. But this has been a very, very powerful part of my life, and I'm happy to have shared it with all of you and everyone who's watching us on Saturday Morning Mastermind. So I just was curious as to what were some of the things that you take away from the book, if anyone hasn't answered that question yet. But that recording yourself that's very powerful. I like that a lot, Jason. So what was one of the most important lessons learned?
Well, thanks, Julie. I'm so happy for you. Look, I mean, and I totally get what you're talking about with not sounding like yourself from your previous recordings, because it's interesting as our belief level grows, the way we speak to ourselves grows, and so I totally get that. And I want to jump back real quick to something that Catherine said earlier about judging ourselves. One of the things this book brings out is how we're being programmed by a constant inundation of our external forces, our environment. That that's the programming that really affects our thinking, our beliefs, and our attitudes. And so we shouldn't judge ourselves because of our thoughts. We need to understand that most, if not all, of those thoughts have been created or are a indirect creation of external forces that we didn't have control over. Now, with the language in this book and the understanding that's in this book, we can now take back that control. We can now circumvent that programming and give ourselves new programming, new beliefs and attitudes that will direct our actions, that will be more in alignment with what we really want to accomplish. And so I thought that when you first said it, Catherine, I was like, well, judging ourselves, but then something that was said totally made it click that, that's true. We do end up judging ourselves because we have these thoughts in our head, these reoccurring thoughts or attitudes that, that we think, well, that's just the way I think. Have you ever heard someone say that? Well, that's just me. That's the way I think. Well, you can change. We know we can change. We can actually change the way we think in the words that we say to ourselves, and a lasting change, not just a temporary change that gets us by for the time being, but a lasting change that really gives us the effects that we really want in our life. So those are some things I took away from the book. I'm interested in hearing what everyone else has to say.
Dan, I can't hear you.
Mike seems to have dropped off. You could probably hop out the Hangout and hop right back in. That's what helped my mic.
Well, I've had a bumper sticker forever that says you don't have to believe your thoughts. So, and I love that, I mean, because thank goodness there isn't instant manifestation. We're getting closer to that, but we're really all very, very lucky that we don't just manifest everything instantly like we think we would want to, because some of the thoughts that we have, I definitely would not want manifested. But, just because you have those thoughts, it doesn't mean you have to believe it, because I see a lot of people, entrepreneurship can be completely empowering. It can change your life financially. It can change, everything about your family's future. Maybe you're the first person in your family, nobody ever graduated high school. Maybe you made it through. Maybe you didn't. I'm a high school dropout, but you started your business, and suddenly, you're a multimillionaire, and millions of lives are changed, and that's great. But entrepreneurship can also be, if you allow it, you can get very down on yourself. You can start judging. People have these ideas about success, that success means earning this many figures a week or a month or a year, or success means having this many people on your team or doing this many sales or whatever, being on this many hangouts with this many viewers. Everybody puts all these things out there. And then people start, not they, me too, people start looking at those and then having expectations that, if they don't accomplish those things, that means they're not successful. And they're not looking at these everyday battles that we go through with ourselves and our own minds as being the successes. When you finally figure out how to get that thing on the website right, or when you finally figure out how to do a group email or an autoresponder, or all these little things, or even just getting out of bed and motivating yourself to do what you know you need to do. People get down on themselves because they procrastinate. and they don't get done what they think they should have gotten done, or they get down on themselves because they start trying to figure something out, it gets frustrating, and we immediately go, I don't mean to say they, I mean to say we immediately go to, I can't do this, or this is so frustrating, or whatever, the negative self-talk, that's what we jump into. So entrepreneurship can be so empowering, but it can be so defeating, if you let it be. And that's why getting involved, reading books like this, and especially like you said, Dan, you made such a good point. It's one thing to read it on your own, completely different thing to study it with a group of people and discuss it and get people's insights and thoughts on it. It has such a huge, bigger impact on you. And we need to lighten up on ourselves, and we need to figure out our own definitions of success. What is your definition of success? Don't use somebody else's, because you're never going to, you're not that person. We're all different people. We all face different challenges, we've all had different backgrounds. We all have different things from childhood that come up and bite us in the butt, And so you really, a lot of us, I was a nurse for 20 years. I was used to going to work and being given an assignment, and pretty much, depending on which patients I got, depending on what I did for the day, it was very structured. It was clock in, clock out. It's so different when you work at home. You have to be your own boss. One of the things that helped me was actually in a company I was in, they said, someone said, just pretend like you're, and I could relate to this because in the hospitals, when I first got into nursing, they didn't have cameras in the hospitals, and then after a while they started to have cameras everywhere. So just pretend like there's a camera in your room, and like your upline or whoever you think of as a mentor is watching you, and then see how much more work you get done. Or use a timer, because sometimes we start doing things, and if you'll just set a little egg timer to like keep you on track, because the next thing you know, you've got 20 tabs open and you're looking at 20 other things and you're off track. So the timer goes off and it like reminds you, oh yeah, to get back on track. So you have to learn how to motivate yourself and how to get yourself to do the things that you need to do, to actually have what you consider success. But don't base it on what other people consider it. People get into home-based businesses. Unfortunately, many of us have been in ones where we had no support and things went south really quick and we didn't know how to self-manage, So we hadn't learned that yet, or we're still in the process of learning it. So if you've had what you consider failure, maybe you need to figure out your definition of that too. If you have had what you consider failure several times, it's real easy to get into that negative self-talk, because then you start saying, oh, it's just like that other one. When what you have to realize is it's you, it's us, we are the ones. It's not the business that fails, it's us that fails. But we don't have to like beat ourselves up over that. We just have to recognize that it's our lack of follow-through, or our lack, our negative self-talk, or our lack of positive self-talk, or however you want to word it. It's us not doing the things that we need to do, because in every one of those businesses, I'm sure, there were successful people. So why are sometimes some people successful and other times other people in the same business? Or why are some people happy in a situation and other people are not? There's people that have been in jail their entire lives and have touched more lives from inside of a cell with their words than people who are out interacting with people every day. So it's your choice how you interpret a situation and how you act from a situation, and it all starts right here. And this book teaches you how to recognize what's there and how to change it if you need to. So that's what I got out of it.
That was wonderful, Catherine. What you mentioned, I'm just curious, and I'd like to get your input and Dan Smith also. But as I was going along through this process, when I'm going to do something, does your inner self talk to you also? Like, if you know you're not supposed to do something, does it say, no, you know you shouldn't be doing that? You know, like when I get up in the morning and I want to go on Facebook, it's like, you know you're not supposed to be getting on Facebook in the morning because when you pick your head up, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's what happens to me a lot until I finally just stop doing it. Because it would, it's like I would hear my voice tell me, you know you're not supposed to get on. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. So my inner voice was talking to me without me having to talk to it. That happened to me. Has it happened to any of you? Because I found it kind of strange. But I accepted it. So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And it starts from this book,
Happens to me every day, Julia. you know you're supposed to do your income generating activities very first thing in the morning, and like you say, you get on the email, then you go into Facebook, and then it's like 10 o'clock. It's like, gal, what? I put something in the discussion. I need to fix it because I'm off on my letter, so I'll go back and fix that later. But something I started to say earlier, and then my mic wasn't working or something. Anyway, Julia, what you was talking about was that you had recorded these recordings early on. And now you go back and you listen to them and you say, well, that doesn't sound like me. And I was trying to remember a quote that I heard, but when you go through a teaching and then you go through it the second time, you don't recognize something that wasn't there before. You recognize something new that's in yourself that wasn't there before, if that makes sense. And so you've grown, and you're not the same person that you was before you went into this, going through that back through that same training the second time. The growth has been in you, and now your mind's been expanded and you're able to see more clearly things that you wasn't able to see before. I have another book. This is Psycho-Cybernetics 2000, and it's Bobby Summers is rewrote Psycho-Cybernetics. I'm not going to read this whole thing because it's kind of long, but I really like to read it. But anyway, what she's talking about here is your subconscious mind. She compares it to a horse, and when you train a horse, if you took a horse over the same route every day, you go 1 mile south, turn, go 1 mile, and then go up another mile and turn, and then come back. After a while, that horse is trained, and the horse, it just accepts it, and goes with the punches and just rolls along every day. But now you want to change the course, and if that horse is used to going down 1 mile and turning left, and you want to turn right, that horse is going to fight you. It doesn't want to turn right. It wants to go left because that's what that horse has been trained to do at this point. And so the analogy is there that you have to really jerk the reins hard to the right in order to get that horse to go to the right, because the horse wants to go to the left. It's been trained. And that's what the subconscious mind is, the horse, and the conscious mind is the rider. Okay, and so when you make a new choice that you're going to change, that's what I talked about earlier. If I can find it here real quick. Whoops, wrong page. That was a question that Shad Hemlstetter asked. If making life work is as simple as making a few changes, why don't you do it? It's because the subconscious mind has been trained, and it's like that horse, and it's the horse is used to turning left. You want to go right, and it's going to take a really hard jerk on those reins in order to make that horse turn right when it wants to go left. And that's what our subconscious mind does. It's just like that horse, and it just wants to keep on doing what it wants to keep on doing, because I made an image yesterday, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but the number one killer of success is, but we've always done it this way. We've always done it this way. Heaven forbid that we should do something new, get a new thought, or try a new method. We've always done it this way, and you get stuck in that same groove, going down that same channel, and your mind just can't. Your subconscious mind just can't handle doing something new. But the fact is, the subconscious mind has to do what you tell it to do. It has no choice. But it just balks at the new orders. It doesn't know how to handle it. So anyways, I hope that makes sense. Like I said, I really wanted to read this, but it's kind of long, and I really don't want to go that far. So anyway, I'll let somebody else comment.
Well, we're almost at the top of the hour, and Dan, is there any more comments or?
Let me look again. I was taking some notes. A couple of minutes ago, there were a little bit of back and forth. Dan posted his little craft acrostic, and then we had a couple more things talking about the page and stuff. But nothing really in relate, nobody really asking stuff about this, just making comments about the page and stuff, and that they're liking the website. But I was going to jump out and say a little something based on because Dan was talking about the horse and the analogy of the horse and training the horse. I think my horse is awfully big because it tends to win more times than I do, and I'm really having to learn that I really have to really jerk hard, and that analogy is really just hit home with me, and I'm going to have to use that because it just, wow. I mean, the vision and everything that I got out of that, Dan, so thank you, because that's going to help me every time I get my little old ways coming up and the little things, but I've always done it. No, that doesn't help. That's not getting me where I want to go. Let's try something different and new and fresh and, get out of that comfort zone, because the horse is also comfortable in that little thing of whichever direction it was trained to go. So thank you. That's a powerful little analogy for me. I'm done. I'm just
Okay, so we are at the top of the hour, and I just want to share something from the book that, I always leave the best for last, right? So at the end of this chapter, it has a quote. It has a quote, and Shad Hemlstetter says, "You are everything that is. Your thoughts, your life, your dreams come true. You are everything you choose to be. You are as unlimited as the endless universe." So I thought that this really touched me because there was a time where I wouldn't say I didn't feel like I was not worthy of anything, but I just didn't realize that I was worthy of whatever it was that I want out of life. And so I went through life as what my mom wanted it to be, what my aunts, my uncles, until I just got tired of being sick and tired. Something had to change, and it started with me. I had to make that change. Did I know what was going to happen? No, I didn't know. But as I went through pursuing what was making me happy, this brings me joy. I'm gonna follow this. I'm gonna continue to this. I love this group, So I started to feel more powerful, and my self-talk changed tremendously to the point where I'm just not having it. It's just not something I'm not going to settle. That's what I mean. And I'm not going to settle for what someone says or what they want out of life. What I learned out of this process was that how I deal with it, because I do consider myself to have a strong character, and I really feel strongly about my purpose and what I want. So I can come out and be, the horse or the bull or, whatever, you want to call it, but I can come out strong. And I learned through this process that I can be compassionate. I'm being compassionate to myself, and I can be compassionate to others. And, as I talk to myself kindly, I can talk to others kindly. So I did learn a good deal. A lot. It's tremendous. I mean, I could go on and on, but, you know, this is not only about me, this is about everyone. So this is, I've changed tremendously through this one book. Imagine what the next book is going to be like. So I want to thank you all for helping me through this process. It has been a wonderful experience, and I feel so blessed.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Julia. Everybody hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. I was having some issues there in the background. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week, guys. What I did is I just posted a couple links in the comments section. One is to our next book that we're going to be starting on December 2nd or December 5th. Let me look at the calendar here real quick. And I've said this before. December 5th is when we're starting the next book. And that is going to be Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao by Wayne Dyer. And that I got that book already, and it is looking really interesting. So when we get together on December 5th, what I'm thinking that we'll do is we'll have kind of a brainstorming session on how we think is going to be the best way to go about studying this book. I have some ideas myself, and I want to get your guys' ideas as well, because I think that this has a ton of value to give us, and we can provide a lot of value out there into the universe as well. So use that link that I put there in the comment section, because that will that's an affiliate link for Amazon, and anytime you use that link and go over to Amazon and purchase something, then we earn a little tiny commission. It's like 8% right now, or 6%, something like that. That will help. You know, it just goes towards helping us keep this website going and keep on going with this whole deal. So, and then the other thing was, what else did I put in there? Oh, next week, next Saturday, we're going to have, Catherine is going to bless our community with an awesome abundance reboot. So jump over to that page, check it out, leave us a comment over there. And then we're obviously, well, not obviously, but we're going to take Saturday after Thanksgiving off. So we'll have that day off, and then so that's it for this week, guys. Have an awesome, amazing, wonderful weekend. Thank you, everybody, for adding your thoughts and comments. And for those of you who commented on our blog page, I really appreciate that. That's very, very helpful for us. And if you have any thoughts on how we can improve this and make it better, work better, or whatever, I'll do my best. And with that, have a great day, awesome, amazing weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.